Hi.
What's that?
Not much. Just. Actually, I'm glad that I waited until 5 o'clock to stream. I need that extra half an hour.
Cooler.
Well, I woke up at like fucking 15 till 4, and apparently I slept in a position that made my entire body stiff.
Ooh.
So having that time to kind of loosen up really helped.
Mm-hmm. Well, fuck yeah, man. Yeah,
So,
I was tired. I was so tired. And I was laying over there doing a bit of Fallout, and the next thing I know, Misty's shaking, gently shaking my shoulder. She's like, "Nick sent you a message." I was like, "Hey." The next thing I know, I rolled back over. She's like, "You gonna keep him waiting?" I was like, "Huh?" "He sent you a message." Okay.
You're just like, it's big, whatever, I'm sleeping.
I haven't been sleeping well at night here lately.
Same here. Yeah, like last night, I honestly could not fall asleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. Nothing I did, no position, just constantly tossing and turning. And then the worst part about it is I wake up at 8. It's like, great, let's start the day. So I feel your pain, sir. So I wanted to tell you about the conversation I had this morning with my neighbors. So these young men, they're in their early 20s. I have a lot of conversations with them about video games, primarily video games.
Yeah.
But occasionally we get into a topic that's outside of video games, and that was a conversation we had today. So I was immediately irritated by the James Gunn information.
Mm-hmm.
So I started talking to them about it, and one of the guys, Michael, he starts basically spouting this nonsense about that if James Gunn is fired for that shit, then that woman that works at the New York Times, who tweeted out a bunch of shit, like a bunch of like trolly shit against white men.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the tweets. They were intentionally trolly. Anyway, thank you for that.
Sorry.
It's fine. I mean, you like hearing it, so it's a beginning of a good song. Anyway, or is it in the middle of a song? I don't even remember the song. Anyway.
It's both.
So we start having that conversation, and he's basically trying to say, in the long and short of it, that if white men can be fired for making offensive jokes, then anybody else who makes offensive jokes should be fired too. And I said, that's not how this should work. You're clearly upset that James Gunn and other people like James Gunn, white men, would be fired for making offensive jokes. So you're playing eye for an eye here, when in reality, if you really think about it, that's not helping anything. You're trying to fight fire with fire, and that doesn't work, especially in this case. If we don't take a stand and defend anybody making jokes, then you're perpetuating a problem. And he couldn't understand that. He couldn't get that through his head. So he would sit there and sit there and go like, I'm just angry at the whole situation. I'm angry at everything going on with that. And I go, dude, take all the examples out. Don't bring up any examples of anybody saying anything on Twitter or Facebook or what have you. Do you believe an individual should be fired from their job for making offensive jokes on Twitter? And he was just like, he kept like throwing examples out. And I was like, Michael, no examples. Where's your position on that? And he could not stop trying to give me examples. I was like, this is like punching a brick wall hoping it gets knocked down. Like, I could not get through to him. It was so fucking frustrating. And I talked to his brother later, and Zach goes like, yeah, that's kind of why I stayed out of it, because I felt like you were not getting anywhere. And I was like, oh no, I realized that after a hot minute. I realized that after, like, he kept interrupting me. Like, he was just gonna, like, it was really funny because he kept saying, like, at first, it sounded like he was offended by her jokes, right? Like, yeah. It's not okay for her to say that she would like to see old white men suffer. And I go, first off, she's intentionally being trolly to get a rise out of people. That was the whole point of that, which in itself can be funny. Secondly, she's not serious. Thirdly, why do you take offense to that? Why are you offended? Do you think somebody who was do you think it's right that other people are offended by comedy in general? Well, it depends. No, it doesn't depend. If I sat there and said, well, I'm offended by this joke, but all other jokes I'm not, that makes me a hypocrite. And I said, you cannot be offended by one fucking joke, but say that other jokes are okay, because that makes you a hypocrite, Michael. And he's like, no, because in this situation it's different. And I go, no, it's not. Absolutely not. He just couldn't get it. And then his buddy that was standing there, Emil is like, Emil very much, he was trying to sit there and justify Michael's opinion by saying that offensive comedy shouldn't be a thing. That making jokes about topics that are taboo should not be a thing. And I expressed to him, I said that should never be the case. I said, nobody is for rape, but if there's a joke that involves it, that's different. If your joke condones rape, then yeah, go fuck yourself. But if your joke involves the what rape is, then that's different. And I bring up Ricky Gervais, I bring up South Park, and I go, these are examples of situations where the joke is making fun of the thing. And that's what Poop God. Hi, Poop God. It'll be a minute before we start. I'm just trying to get more people in here. I've only been live for 9 minutes apparently, so it'll be a minute. And I said to him that, I said, if I walk out in the middle of the street and shout that slavery was okay, that's not okay. That's not funny, that's not a joke. But if I tell a joke about somebody who says it, and it works in context with the joke. What's up, E Doodly? I like that name, E Doodly. Then that matters. And the guy was like, well, what is funny about her saying that she would like to see old white men suffer? And I go, because there's context to it. He goes, what context? And I go, the context that she's trolling, the context that it's intentionally there to get a rise out of people, which in itself is funny. That's the context. Well, that just doesn't make any sense. Yes, it does. It makes perfect fucking sense. Context is everything. Yeah. Context is what comedy is about.
Exactly.
And then we got into a conversation about, like, an argument about what context is. And he's like, I don't care about context. Well, then that makes you a terrible person. Like, sorry, bud, but you're an awful person if you don't understand the difference between actual hate and a joke with context. So, it was just the whole thing this morning, and I was trying to keep my cool, really trying to keep my cool, but he just was not listening. Then again, I don't know why I was striving to fix his brain when Michael is, how do I put this nicely, an idiot.
Yeah. It was completely missing the point.
He absolutely was. Like, my favorite thing a long time ago, we were talking about games, and I mentioned that I absolutely loved BioShock Infinite. And he was like, I hated that game. That game was terrible. And I was like, how was it terrible? And he's like, it was boring. I was like, fucking, what game did you play? Like, I've never met anyone who said that game was boring. E-Doodly, it'll be a minute. I'm trying to get more people in, because there's only 3 of us right now, so I want to try to get at least 5. And I gotta be live for a little while to start it. But if nobody shows up in a little bit here, I'll definitely start it with just the 3 of us. Just gotta be patient, bud. But no, he, what's up?
Sorry, go ahead.
You're okay. It was just a really funny conversation, because while he was trying to say that it was boring, I was basically explaining to him, like, what the plot of the game was about and what it was trying to say and do. And he's just like, I didn't pick up any of that. I'm like, wow. Did you just skip cutscenes? Did you turn off your brain?
I mean, yeah. And that's, I think he is representative of the average audience.
Fair enough.
When it comes to, and I hate to say that because, I generally give people credit for being intelligent. But the more and more I'm seeing things, the more and more I'm seeing examples of exactly that. People are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
They just don't pay attention.
True.
And going back into that whole jokes about rape can be funny. Absolutely. I don't know if you've ever watched Jim Jeffries' show Legit.
The show Legit?
It was on, the show. He got it after his special Fully Functional. It ran for 2 seasons. It was picked up on FX.
Keep talking, but I'm going to start the game up because there's nobody else in chat, so we're just going to hopefully get people while we're playing. It's going to be a short game.
Okay. Yeah. And it ran for 2 seasons. Really fucking great show. It was a fictional look at his life in America, and it was based. One of the main characters was based on a real life friend of his from Australia that he tells a bit about. And
Round one.
Anyway, in season 2, you know, he's trying to land
Everyone will choose
a
between
role
your
in a
answer and
movie.
someone else's and decide who wins.
Or season
You'll score
1,
points
you know,
based on
at some point he's trying to land a role in a
Have at
movie,
it.
and he goes to the casting office. He tries out. He reads. All right, give me a second. I'm putting in my answers. So, he gets done reading the report, and he reads with this other woman, you know, and they had some decent chemistry, and they were hitting it off, you know, and he's waiting on his roommate to pick him up. Or his roommate was waiting to pick him up, and this woman, you know, he was kind of interested in her. She was attractive. She's like, hey, where you going? He's like, oh, I'm going to, you know, I got to go here. And she's like, well, you know, I can drop you off. And he's like, you sure? She's like, yeah, it's on my way. I'll drop you off. He's like, okay. So he follows her to her car. She gets in. Her passenger window is partially rolled down, but the door's like he tries to get in. She holds up her finger and says, you know, 1 minute, you know. So he's sitting there thinking, okay. Well, she's like, hi, Mom. Yeah, I'm giving this guy a ride. His name's Jim Jeffries. He's like, yeah, 3 E's. Spells it. She's like, okay, so I'm gonna give him a lift. So if you don't hear from me in about an hour, call the police, because, you know,
Matthew McConaughey stays in such great shape.
maybe I was raped or murdered or something.
Time to vote.
And she hangs up, gets in. He doesn't say anything for like 5 minutes. You know, they're tooling around. He's just sitting there all quiet, and then he just looks over at her. He's like, you just made this rape really awkward.
Nice.
Which is just fucking hilarious.
Nice.
And of course, you know,
Next one.
that became
Why the fish in your
part
aquarium
of the,
hate
you
you?
know, he was, he gets the part, but she says she felt threatened because she was almost raped. He's like, how did I almost rape you?
That's funny.
People were like, you can't make a joke about rape and blah, blah, blah. He's like, yes, you can. I just did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it's... I mean, it reminds me of the whole situation with, in that faction, like, not only what, like, Ricky Gervais was talking about, but also the story that Anthony Jeselnik tells at the end of his special about the shark thing. Where, you know, when he was making his show, he was always like, you know, if somebody gets eaten by a shark or bitten by a shark during the production of the show, we're going to have a shark party. And that legitimately happened. Someone in New Zealand got killed by a shark, so he has a shark party the next day on his show. Comedy Central thought that was too much and canceled the show, like, right after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but, because of that, like, he got a lot of hate mail, but including that, like, was death threats. I like my joke. I like this joke. Yeah, like he talks about how the Shark Party thing got him in a lot of trouble. And
Almost out of time. Use the safety quit button if you have to.
and right after that happened, like he said, he was getting hate mail and death threats. And his security guard comes with him and he's like, we gotta make sure that you're safe. You have, oh, I was like, you have a few seconds. We gotta make sure that you're safe, we gotta make sure that you're okay.
Let's start
You know,
this
somebody
show.
could try to hurt you, and
First off,
he goes,
number one reason people flunk out of
number one
ninja
reason people
school.
flunk out of ninja school. He says,
Okay, select your favorite.
alright, El Doodley. Oh, it's my vote? He says, like, if I get killed because of my jokes, because of my comedy, that makes me a legend.
It's voting time.
But the guy was like, well, it's gotten worse. Your family is now getting death threats. And he was like, you can come after me. You can say whatever you want to me. You can throw as many death threats to me as you want. But, by the way, I was really proud of that joke.
Next on the list. Why you're
but
not
the
allowed
second
back
that
at
you
Jurassic Park.
come after my family, threaten to kill my family, even better. And that's how he ends the special. He has gotten so much shit for that.
Yeah, I remember you brought that up when we were recording the other day.
It's just, I think the point that I'm getting at is it's unfortunate because a lot of people get a lot of vitriol and hate for
We've reached the
yesterday
end of
there was a
round two.
girl,
Let's see
this
what happened.
fucking killed me, dude. So there was an article that popped up on Kotaku about Ninja, the Fortnite streamer, right?
Yeah, the one that, you know, about broke Twitch that night with Drake.
Yes.
And
He
now
he was
round
basically in
three,
this
the
interview
last
saying that
flash.
he doesn't
This
want to
time
stream
you'll
with
all
any
be answering
women
the same problem.
because he doesn't want to have him and his wife have all these problems of the internet, like shipping him and whoever he's streaming with. He doesn't want that, so he refuses to stream with women. And unfortunately, the article makes it sound way worse than that. It makes it sound way more sexist. Hold on, I'm trying to think of something here. And so he says that, like, his logic is a little iffy, just on the pretense of like, there's plenty of other popular streamers that stream with women, and they don't have this problem. So you could do the same, Ninja. But whatever, it's his channel. He
here
can
we
do
go.
whatever the fuck he wants. He didn't
Each of
say
you
that he
has a
doesn't
gold medal to
appreciate
award to
women or
your
that women
favorite
can't play
clip.
video
Make your
games.
picks
He
now.
just doesn't want to stream with them on his channel. Well, I can only vote for one. And a lot of people had opinions about it throughout the day, as the internet tends to do. But one of my favorite moments was this girl that I didn't even know streamed, but she streamed on Twitch for a long time and then moved to Mixer. But she tweeted out, she was like, guys look out, or girls look out, because it was other guys. Something along the lines of like, if you keep playing, or if you play with Ninja, you're at risk of catching Ligma. Which made me laugh, because I was like, nice, like, because the Ligma joke, first off, fucking Ninja hates that Ligma joke. Like,
Suspense
you
is
get
killing me. Let's see
straight
who
up
got those
banned in his
medals.
channel if you use that joke.
Let's see what the medals to points exchange rate is these days.
So that made me laugh immediately. But well, that final round didn't mean jack all.
That's it. Time for the final scores.
No. Just kept you in front. Excuse me. I don't even know what the joke is.
Lick my balls. That's where the joke is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not the best joke, but the fact that she was using it in conjunction with that was funny to me. Man, what is with this channel and not getting fucking viewers?
Do you think it's Anthony?
There's a part of me that feels like I should just switch to my personal channel.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, fuck it. Alright, here we go. That's gonna take me a minute, but we're gonna do that.